Welcome to U.S. Defense Line Channel. United States has acted. Course of the war begins to take a different turn. Scope of the war, which has spread to the territory of Russia, is expanding. Before Russia could even take any action, Ukraine started operations again. Moreover, these operations began on the territory of Russia. As it is known, in recent days, explosions have echoed in succession in regions such as Belgorod and Kursk, which are important for Russia. Afterwards, a Russian military ammunition depot and many critical points were neutralized in these regions. While the smoke was rising in the regions, Russia started to take action, even if it was late. According to the statements, Russia has built 2 defense lines in the Kursk region. It was also stated that the work on the construction of these 2 reinforced defense lines was completed during the week. It is even said that the 3rd line of defense will be ready in the coming weeks. In some areas in the Belgorod region, protective structures began to be built, which were thought to be ineffective. With these moves, Russia seems to be worried. However, it may be too late to take these measures. Because the Russian border was crossed by the Ukrainian troops for the first time after the moves that normally carried out from the Ukrainian borders. According to last-minute statements, 150 Ukrainian soldiers crossed Russia's Belgorod border. Clashes were reported in the region. It is thought that this situation will not turn out well for Russia. Because, as it is known, Ukrainian soldiers have become quite experienced in the long-standing war. On the Russian side, most of its experienced soldiers were lost due to unsuccessful attack attempts. For this reason, if the Ukrainian army enters Russia, the war on behalf of Moscow will become more difficult. At the same time, the Russian soldiers on the Ukrainian fronts are starting to have more and more difficulties. Troops fail for many reasons, including poor management, lack of training and lack of necessary equipment. This time, it was reported that about 400 Russian soldiers were neutralized on the territory of Ukraine in one day. It has been announced that Russia has lost more than 67,500 military resources since the beginning of the war. As Moscow loses more and more soldiers every day, it is trying to increase its attacks on infrastructures out of panic. As such losses increase day by day, Russia will find it very difficult to defend even its own country. This situation can completely change the course of the war. Now every step is much more critical for Russia. Aware of these, Russia is looking for countries that can attract it to gain power. Belarusian leader Lukashenko, one of the rare leaders with whom Russia is on good terms, has recently begun to increase his support for Russia. Belarus has announced that it will deliver 24 more T-72A tanks to Russia, this time. After this delivery, the total number of tanks delivered in a few weeks will have increased to 94. But Moscow's attempt to widen the scope of the war by attracting Belarus to its side could spell disaster for itself. As it is known, Russia has come to the fore about the possibility of using various risky ammunition when it had difficulties. Then, after NATO took action, this time the United States took action. After Russia's statements about the possibility of using risky weapons in the past days, NATO started various exercises. In a panic, Russia deployed warplanes to regions close to NATO countries, causing tension to escalate. United States commanders, who could not remain silent to Russia's remarkable moves, made a critical statement. According to the breaking news, many senior commanders from the United States gave signals that the deployed soldiers could enter Ukraine. According to the statements, the United States Air Force will show its struggle against the Russian forces in the country to protect every inch of the countries in case the violence of the war escalates and spreads to NATO countries. It was also reported that 4,700 soldiers were deployed to protect NATO's eastern flank. Hundreds of American soldiers are closely watching the moves of the Russian army. Commanders reported that their armies are standing by at the border of the country. In case of need, they can join the war in case of need. This may be a cause of great panic on the Moscow side. As it is known, the relations between these 2 big countries are not very good. This may cause the course of the war to progress in a different direction. Fate of countries now depends on the steps they will take. Operations continue on the southern front. Ukrainian troops have succeeded in retaking many regions with the counterattacks they have increased in recent days. Russia, on the other hand, continues its attempts to attack critical infrastructures. However, while Russia's attacks do not turn out well for its own country, every move of Ukraine causes the Russian army to have more difficulty on the fronts. Ukrainian armed forces destroyed an anti-tank missile system and a Russian Grad multiple rocket launcher, as well as 4 ammunition storage points in the southern Kherson region. This time, destruction of such ammunition depots could cause major problems for Russia going forward. Because the Russian army can no longer use many military equipment in all damaged ammunition storage points. While this reduces Russia's ammunition supply, it enables Ukraine to become an advantageous party. It was also reported that Russian soldiers lost 2 tanks and 16 armored vehicles in one day. It was stated that the MSTAS self-propelled large-caliber howitzer was also damaged. Ukrainian air defense units also continue their effective moves. This time, it was reported that 16 Shahed 136 kamikaze drones were destroyed overnight. It is known that these unmanned aerial vehicles, which were bought from Iran, have been used in Ukraine for a long time. But the Ukrainian military figured out how to destroy these drones. That's why Russia's last trump card is now wasted. Number of unmanned aerial vehicles destroyed is increasing day by day. If Russia cannot find a solution on this issue, it will have more difficulties in the future. Number of countries it can receive support from is already very limited. For this reason, it will be inevitable that it will be more difficult unless it can efficiently use the ammunition from the countries it can receive support from. Russia's loss is not limited to these. As a result of insufficient defense and attack power, it was reported that 2 helicopters and 21 cruise missiles were shot down in one day this time. We can say that the sounds of explosions echoing in the country came from Russia's ammunition. Situations like these further prove Russia's inability to attack and hit. At the same time, it reveals Ukraine's air defense capabilities. It is also seen that air defense systems from many countries have started to be used quite effectively in recent days. This can also encourage countries to provide support. As it is known, the Ukrainian army has started simultaneous operations on many fronts in recent days. On top of that, all kinds of support became more important. While Russia concentrates on infrastructures, Ukraine is trying not to leave an opportunity to attack Russia with its accurate moves. In addition, it is thought that Russia's focus on infrastructure is due to its failure to achieve success on the fronts. Because with the failures that occur as a result of every military incompetence, the tensions within the country increase. This situation both reduces the motivation in the army and can cause wrong decisions to be made. This makes losses inevitable for Russia. If the Ukrainian forces can continue their effective advance without slowing down, the war will be completely turned in favor of Ukraine. Russia, on the other hand, will become more and more difficult. All these situations will increase the losses of military resources and equipment on the Moscow side, and will accelerate the progress on the Ukrainian side. This will ensure the successful completion of plans on the Kyiv side. However, for all these, the promises of aid to Ukraine must be kept as quickly as possible. In the following process, the course of the war will become evident in line with the strategic moves to be made by the countries. We'll see what happens in the next few days. We have reached the end of another video. You can support us by liking the video. You can easily follow new videos by subscribing. I wish you all a war-free day. See you.